Good afternoon, folks. It's your boy, the Red Badger. We are back, ready to draft some teams here. Um, Unfortunately for us, we already maxed Best Ball Mania. Um, this was the first year that I maxed any sort of tournament. So I was able to max the Best Ball Mania, uh, the undrafted free agent two, and I believe the little board. So we've been busy this off season. We've gotten to see the ADPs change, a lot of risers, a lot of fallers, a lot of people that I wasn't comfortable drafting where they were going early on in the season, a la Josh Jacobs, but I will happily select him in the fourth round. Bucky now consistently going in what's that, the fifth round, I believe. Um, I've been scooping that up when it's presented itself. Uh, Even the fall on Malik Neighbors going at the end of round three, beginning of round four, as well as the fall of Josh Allen, sometimes going at the end of round three, beginning of round four. So I've capitalized on those moves so far and how, the ADP has fluctuated. Will it benefit me having drafted all of my best ball teams already? I don't necessarily think so. I wish I would have left some bullets for the end of July, August. But at the same time, I was able to max, and hopefully that I was able to land and construct some teams that won't be possible in August. So without further ado, it's your boy, the Red Badger. We are going to hop in a Fast Puppy. The Fast Puppy is a little different from the Puppy 1 and the Puppy 2. I believe the Puppy 1 was like 2 of 12, 1 of 10, 1 of 6, and then like what was it, like a 625 seat final. And then the Puppy 2 was like 2 of 12, 1 of 10, 1 of 5, and then had a 750 seat final. This Fast Puppy is 2 of 12, 1 of 10, 1 of 10, but then you have a 325 seat final. So it's going to be a little bit harder than the Puppy 1 and 2 to advance, I assume, with having to be 1 of 10 in weeks 15 and 16. So we're going to hop into the Fast Puppy, probably get in about 2 on this stream. I'm going to go ahead and increase the size of this board for y'all. Oh, it's filled already, and we are at pick 9, seems. Yes, pick 9. Do I recognize any of these names in here? No, not offhand. We will begin queuing up our players. Like I said, that is my preferred way of going about drafting. Hope today's going well for y'all. Storming a bit. It was pouring down raining here in Pittsburgh for a while, but it seems to have stopped or subsided, at least for now. The back half of the draft, I would say, is better now than when these drafts originally opened, because of where players are going in round 3 and the values that you're able to scoop. The first 4 picks have been the standard. You have Gibbs, followed by Bijan, Chase, and Puka. This is where some things have changed. Some people will take a running back like McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor, but no, he stays true and he goes with JSN. We are up in 1 pick Okay, we are going to go ahead and select Mr. CD Lamb. Kind of a chalk start, with everybody going off. Now Jefferson goes off the board. I've gotten a lot of Jefferson lately. Let's see what the drafter at 11 does. Does he go with Cook or Genty? He goes with Barkley. Usually now, more recently, Barkley is usually going by pick 13. It seems to be consistently happening now. And he follows that up with going Devon Achane, who I like. I'm maybe a little higher than most people on. I don't want to get shut out of running back because the running backs going in the third round, I'm not too high on. And although I like Hampton, I am going to go with Derrick Henry. Um, I know he didn't have the best of seasons last year during the regular season, but he won people a ton of money in week 17 when it mattered most. So just the consistency. I still believe he had like 1,500 yards and double-digit touchdowns. Brock Bowers goes off the board. I got a lot of A.J. Brown in the month of May before he had gotten traded to the Patriots. So I took advantage of getting A.J. Brown in the third round, and now he's going in the second. I've seen him go as high as 13. So he has definitely jumped up boards now that he is no longer with Philadelphia and is in New England. I think he fits well with them. Drake May is not afraid to push the ball downfield, and A.J. Brown has excelled at, deep catches, and Drake May is very accurate. So, I mean, at any given time, A.J. Brown has a 50-50 chance of coming down with the ball because of Drake May's placement on his passes. Jeremiah Love goes off the board to the Chase drafter. A lot of times you'll see Love go to the pick 1 drafter, pick 2 drafter if he does fall into the third round. T. Higgins goes off the board. So we are up in 2 picks. I imagine this guy is going to select a wide receiver, having going running back. He goes with Ladd McConkey. ETN is still available. You have Kyron here, Javante. But I'm going to select Josh Allen. I don't mind taking him here for the simple fact that Josh Allen consistently, is worth his third round ADP. He's easily the top 1 or 2 quarterback when the season ends. So at least definitely in the top 3 to 4. Luther Burden goes off the board. And the Barkley drafter went 3 straight running backs with Barkley, Achane, and Kyron. And this is what we were hoping to happen. We will happily select Malik Neighbors here. The Giants and Dallas have a Week 17 matchup, and it happens to be being played in Dallas. So it's not a weather concern as far as Dallas having to go to, to New York, Jersey, wherever the stadium's located, and play in a cold weather game. That's what's kind of unfortunate about the Minnesota Vikings and the Jets matchup, because it's going to be in New York. So Terry McLaurin goes off the board. A lot of people are getting on board with McLaurin now. I was on board with him this entire time. I just felt as though that if he is healthy coming into the season, Jaden is healthy coming into the season, there is no contract issues of him holding out. Players, when they hold out and miss that valuable time of getting their body acclimated to the wear and tear that they're about to have during the season, and they end up getting injured. Same thing happened with CeeDee Lamb when he was having his issue with Dallas as far as getting the contract, and we seen it happen with McLaurin. Then you pile on the fact that Jaden had the dislocation of his elbow, and prior to that, it hurt his knee against the Green Bay Packers. So it was just a recipe for a bad season. But if you do realize and look back on the chemistry that they showed in 2024, Jaden Daniels' rookie season, it's kind of hard to not envision them having success this year, all things being equal, especially with the prospect of him being moved all around the field in David Blau's scheme that he's implementing in Washington. Okay, we were back on the clock right now. We have one running back so far, and I think we are going to go ahead and select Bucky Irving here. Take the faller in him as well. We need a second running back before we are left with, limited options with upside. It would have been nice if DJ Moore would have fell back to us to get us the stack with Josh Allen. Unfortunately, he got selected. One pick before we got two picks before we got the draft. Lamar goes off the board. Jadarian Price goes off the board. So that would have been the other running back that I would have been looking at on the return. With that being said, our best available player is Jordan Tyson. With having invested such early draft capital in Josh Allen, although quarterbacks were my highest rated players at that point in the draft, I could not select another quarterback there. Not to mention the quarterbacks that were available, I don't have stacking options. I don't have T. Higgins, for instance. I don't have A.J. Brown to have selected Drake May. Jaden Daniels goes off the board to the McLaurin drafter. And that's the thing about Jaden. You could draft him naked Jaden Daniels, and knowing that his primary pass catcher outside of McLaurin is Chigakonkwa, who doesn't go to round 13, 14, and around 13, beginning around 14. So when I don't have McLaurin, I'm not necessarily looking to draft Jaden Daniels. All right, let's queue up some more players before we come around to our next selection. Jalen Hurts goes off the board, followed by QJ. Wondering if they go ahead and select Herbert here. Yes, that's exactly what they do, because Herbert was not going to fall back to them. And I assumed with them taking Quentin Johnson where they did, they were looking to pull up Herbert to get that stack. Ramondre Stevenson goes off the board to the Drake May drafter. The drafter who selected A.J. Brown passed up on Drake May in order to stack T. Higgins with Burrow. Gives them a little bit of a difference than maybe other people might have went with Drake May there, being that A.J. Brown was their second round pick. But sometimes those changes is what can separate you from another team that may have select Burrow. And let's say New England doesn't have a great game when they play against. We are going to get our final quarterback right now and select Dak Prescott. So we have our two quarterbacks. We have Lamb stacked with Dak Prescott, and right now we do have a naked Josh Allen. There's some possible options depending on how the board goes that we could possibly get later, but I'm not pressed about it having Josh Allen because Josh Allen unstacked isn't a bad thing at all. His rushing upside, all of the stuff that he brings to the table, he is just a good pick overall. So our next pick is here at 88. Right now we have two quarterbacks, two running backs, and three wide receivers. Looking at the board, Bucky has a week 10 bye. No matter what, the two running backs I like both have a week 10 bye, but we are going to go ahead and select RJ Harvey. Our other consideration would have been Kyle Monangai, and he also has a week 10 bye. So no matter what, Bucky, if I would have took Monangai or Harvey, they all would have shared a week 10 bye. I'm okay with the three receivers that we have so far, Lamb, Neighbors, and Jordan Tyson. So we're balanced. You don't really like to go two quarterbacks that early when you invested a third round pick into Josh Allen, but also you know that you're done at two. Now, whether that would have been Josh Allen and a quarterback that came later, Cam Ward, Sam Darnold, C.J. Stroud, someone along those lines, or if you even waited later for Aaron Rodgers or Geno Smith or Fernando Mendoza. But with having Lamb and Dak being there, to me, it was an easy choice to make. And we didn't reach on him. We got him at his ADP where he's fallen. The only times that he goes earlier is per se if the George Pickens drafter at 1 would have selected him instead of Herbert. You would have seen Dak go off the board there. But usually if the Pickens drafter doesn't select Dak Prescott, he will fall back in most cases to the drafter of Lamb. Kyle Monangai does go off the board. He fell a bit to pick 101 when he has an ADP of 93.3. And he's followed up by J.K. Dobbins. Okay, we are back on the clock. Looking at it, we could go with Jacoby Myers, but I think what we will do is we will go ahead and select Harold Fannin here to give us our first tight end. There's no guarantee that a tight end that we like will fall back to us when we pick again in round 11 at pick 129. So let's just go ahead and get us a tight end that we know is at least getting, the starting opportunities there. There's no more Njoku. So there's even more opportunity for success from him. Gainwell is interesting because it gives us a handcuff on Bucky. And although he has a week 10 bye, I think that's what we are going to do. Just in case there are any lingering side effects from Bucky and his shoulder issue. They brought in Gainwell for this for this reason, to pretty much fill the Rashard White role of being the pass catcher, who would have been my other consideration there. Um, would have been Rashard White, but being that we did have Bucky, I felt it was best for us to handcuff him with uh with Gainwell. Um, we are a little thin at wide receiver, only having 3 receivers through 10 rounds of drafting. Um, at least one of those receivers is CD Lamb, who is a alpha at his position. Um, and Neighbors, there's high upside for him when it matters most. Even if he does start off on the PUP, misses the first 4 games, takes a while to ramp up. Um, we want this team to be firing on all cylinders in weeks 14, 15, 16, and 17 if this team can advance through this current structure all the way to the finals. It's no guarantee of that happening, but this is our lottery shot. This is our chance to try to roll the dice, um, and see where it takes us. Definitely got behind on preparing some of these players. Travis Kelsey goes off the board. We were up in 3 picks. Okay, so we were at least able to get Dalton Kincaid stacked with Josh Allen to give us at least one stack there for our quarterback. So currently we have a 2-4-3-2 build. We have Josh Allen and Dak Prescott at quarterback. At running back, we have Derrick Henry and Bucky Irving and RJ Harvey and Kenneth Gainwell. At wide receiver, we still only have 3 with CD Lamb, Malik Neighbors, and Jordan Tyson. Shakir goes off the board. Was kind of hoping maybe he fell back to us, but that's okay. What we will do here is we need a running back that doesn't have a week 10 bye. So we're going to go ahead and select Tyrone Tracy. We're still kicking receiver down the road, it seems. But at the very least, we do have 2 running backs available when 3 of my players go on by at running back on week 10, with Bucky Irving, RJ Harvey, and Kenneth Gainwell all going on by. We still have our alpha and Derrick Henry available, and we have Tyrone Tracy to fill in as our RB2. I'm okay with what we have at tight end, having Harold Fannin. Great pick at 105. And then also being able to at least get Kincaid to stack along with Josh Allen. So it filled the 2 needs. It gave us our second tight end, and it also gave us a stacking option with Josh Allen. So not bad. Rondé Gadsden goes off the board. Ryan Flournoy. We're coming up in 7 picks. Hunter Henry goes off the board to the May drafter. So the May drafter was at the very least able to stack Drake May with Hunter Henry. And he has Jackson Dart stacked with Isaiah Likely. So we are coming up in one pick. Denzel Boston goes off the board. So we are afforded the liberty of selecting Jonah Coleman, which gives us another quote unquote type handcuff with the potential for way more playing time if there is an injury to J.K. Dobbins. He will slide into the J.K. Dobbins role if Dobbins were to get hurt, and R.J. Harvey would continue being the versatile option that he has been as far as receiving, without having to be a between the tackles runner, which I don't think he seems to excel at right now at this point in his career. Could that change? Possibly, but there's no guarantee of that being the case. We are yet to take another wide receiver, and I don't think we can continue to keep kicking this can down the road. So we're going to take Deebo Samuel here. It would have been nice to have had Denzel Boston fall to us there. I was thinking about Kenyon Sadiq to give us our third and final tight end, but with us only having three receivers there, it was imperative that we took someone. We can't just expect the guys that we have, the three receivers that we had at that point, to carry the load for our receiver room. Now, do we have the strongest receiver room? No, not whatsoever. And that could be a huge issue for us with this particular team. It's just when I came to pick, most of the players that were best available or kind of made sense for this particular team were running backs. And the reason I took Fannin was because there was no guarantee that Kincaid would have been there, or someone of the likes of Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce. Hell, even Jake Ferguson went one pick before we picked. Likely was off the board. So you would have been looking at Goddard or pulling up Chig way too much. So we're up in 4 picks. Mendoza goes off the board, followed by Dylan Sampson. Antonio Williams goes off the board. Know who I would like to fall to us at the very least, and I believe we will get him. We're going to go ahead and select Jerry Jeudy. Is he my favorite wide receiver? No, but we need help, and he projects okay for where we're at in the draft. Our next pick is pick number 184. We are done at running back, even if the best available player on the board is a running back. We just don't have any more capital to invest in that position. Okay, I think we are going to go ahead and select Steelers rookie wide receiver Jeremy Bernard. Once again, receiver was our most important need. Um, Having Fannin, you're drafting him with the anticipation that he is your tight end one for every week of the season outside of his bye week in week 11. And then when you draft Kincaid, not only was he a stacking partner with Josh Allen, he also was that second tight end to say, hey, if I stop here at two tight ends, am I okay? So as of now, we have Josh Allen and Dak Prescott at quarterback. We have Derrick Henry, Bucky Irvin, R.J. Harvey, Kenneth Gainwell, Tyrone Tracy, and Jonah Coleman at running back. At wide receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Jordan Tyson, Deebo Samuel, Jerry Jeudy, and Jeremy Bernard. And at tight end, we have Harold Fannin and Dalton Kincaid. Coming up in 5 picks. Cade Otton goes off the board. Geno Smith. Ted Hurst. We are on the clock. We are going to go ahead and select Pat Fryermuth as our third and final tight end. So we're up in 4 picks. 2663. None of our tight ends share the same bye week. Darnell Washington goes off the board. Devon Vele. This team, with us being so thin and wide receiver, could we take a flyer on someone? Yeah, potentially. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to get different. We're going to select Skylar Bell here. Will he do anything? I have no idea. But they drafted him. So we shall see. So recapping the team, we have Josh Allen and Dak Prescott at quarterback. We have Derrick Henry, Bucky Irvin, R.J. Harvey, Kenneth Gainwell, Tyrone Tracy, and Jonah Coleman at running back. At wide receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Jordan Tyson, Deebo Samuel, Jerry Jeudy, Jeremy Bernard, and Skylar Bell. And at tight end, we have Harold Fannin, Dalton Kincaid, and Pat Fryermuth. So, not bad. Would I've liked some things to fall a little differently when it came time to the receivers that were on the board and who I could have potentially selected. Yes. So we're projecting for 2,858.1 points. Obviously, we are not the highest rated team in this draft. This Rolling Cyclones team has a pretty good projection. Well, wait, hold on. No, it's Sam Provost. They went with Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Jeremiah Love, Mike Evans, David Montgomery, Marvin Harrison Jr., Tony Pollard, Brock Purdy. So they have Purdy and Evans stacked. Michael Wilson, Aaron Jones, Jordan Love, CJ Stroud to stack along with Monty and Nico. And they have Woody Marks as well, Dalton Schultz, AJ Barner, Malik Washington, Tank Dell, and Wicks. So they have Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, Woody Marks, Stroud. So there's four. And then they have Monty and Nico. Okay. So Evans and Purdy. Pretty good, pretty good team. Pretty good team there, Sam. What's the other higher rated team in here? Rolling Cyclones. They drafted Christian McCaffrey, AJ Brown, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson. It's a nice little fall on Garrett. I know, sometimes he falls to the mid fourth. J-Mo, Joe Burrow to stack with Higgins, Makai Lemon, Jaden Reed, J.K. Dobbins, Rashard White, Mark Andrews, Chigakonkwa, Daniel Jones, Tyler Algier, Dylan Sampson, Adonai Mitchell, Geno Smith. So he got Geno, Adonai, Garrett Wilson. And he has Gesicki, Higgins to stack along with Burrow. I don't know if I'm missing the Daniel Jones aspect of this team. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. So, not bad. So we're gonna get out of this draft and we're gonna hop into another fast puppy. So let's get out of this one. Okay. Waiting on this one to fill. Shouldn't take so long. These fast puppies have been coming on real fast as far as the rooms filling. Facing a little technical difficulties here. Where are we at? Okay, so we have the 1.1. I recognize one name east of Ethan. I've seen him in different draft rooms, and he looks to be He's had a silver badger, so he's gotten in a good amount of drafts. Uh, Captain Kirk's balls at the 1.2. So the 1.1 is interesting because it's pretty much a chalk start for most teams. I'm not going to get any different here. I'm going to go ahead and select Gibbs. I mean, taking Bijan's a little, would be what the variance I'd assume. At the same time, I've been taking Bijan more now that he's fallen into 2 as opposed to when he was going at 1. When Bijan was being drafted 1 overall, I was taking a lot of Gibbs. So that was how I was trying to be a little different when I was at the 2 spot or the 1 spot. So basically what I'm saying is when Bijan was going number 1 overall, I was taking Gibbs. Which is the reason why I have about 11% Gibbs and about 9% Bijan. So I'm still right there where I need to be as far as, the capital that I have in each player. CeeDee Lamb falls all the way to pick 11. I did a few weeks ago. I had a pretty good start where I was able to select CeeDee Lamb at, I believe, pick 10, and then got James Cook at no, it was Lamb at 11, and I got Cook at 15. So it's just a little different than, how it generally goes when, you're selecting there. Usually Cook's off the board in the end of the first round. And if not, he's usually still getting selected by pick 13. Okay, we are up in 1 pick. What do we do here? So we will take the Faller and Bowers. We're also going to take Jeremiah Love. Las Vegas plays Arizona week 17. I don't have a ton of Bowers because it's kind of hard for me convincing myself to take a tight end in the second round of drafts. So I am heavily underweight Bowers. Just to be honest with you, I have about 2% Brock Bowers. I have about 2% Colston Loveland. I have about 2% Tyler Warren. And I think I have about 4% McBride. And it's usually because I've selected McBride about pick 30, 31, or 32 if I did select him. When I've selected Loveland, it's when I've gotten him in the early 5th round as opposed to taking him in the 4th. Um, Same with Luther Burden. If I selected him so far, it's been at the end of the fourth. Kind of like 50-50 with Emeka Ibuka. See, right there, I was never comfortable taking Egbuka there. But if he came to like 45 or 46 in the fourth round, would be where I would select him in my shares of him. So I'm underweight Egbuka as well. Now we are heavily behind the eight ball with having selected two running backs and a tight end within our first three picks. But at that point, especially with Jeremiah Love, he was one of the best available players that I have there at that 2-3 turn. Malik Neighbors goes off the board. I've taken advantage of that as well. When Neighbors has fallen to like pick 40, 41, 42. I think the latest I've gotten him in the fourth round was pick 45. McLaurin goes off the board. So now people are starting to pull Terry up. He was going at picks 48, 49, had an ADP roughly of pick 50. So he has definitely started his rise so far. And they've also adjusted his projections for the season. I think they were possibly factoring in them bringing in somebody like Brandon Ayuk or Stephon Diggs. And being that that doesn't happen, they've kind of adjusted his his projections because of that. All right, so we are on the clock. We definitely cannot take a tight end. Um, so we are definitely selecting Devontae Adams. Here's the issue. What receiver would I pull up if I'm pulling up anyone? Um, I guess we are just going to have to select JMO, who I really don't have a ton of, but we are behind at the receiver position. So, although the player that I would have liked would have been Swift, because there's no way that we would have selected Loveland there. Um, the receivers that fall to you when we would have came around to pick again at 72 and 73 are receivers like Makai Lemon, who doesn't have a quarterback that throws the ball a lot, a la the reason why AJ Brown wanted out of Philadelphia. Now I think Devontae Smith should be fine as far as what he does. Um, Goddard never has a ton of yards. He usually makes makes his way into the end zone here and there, but he gets hurt at random parts of the season. So outside of JMO and taking a third running back, we would have had to pull up Carnell Tate or Christian Watson. There's no way I'm pulling up DJ Moore that far without having Josh Allen. Now, DJ Moore makes perfectly good sense to the Josh Allen drafter because now the Josh Allen drafter has Josh Allen, James Cook, and Buffalo's number one receiver in DJ Moore. And they already have Chase Brown as their RB2 and Teteroa McMillan as their receiver one. So, Pony Soldiers, I do like your start. Henderson falls all the way to pick 12. and he follows that up with a great pick in Brian Thomas Jr. Mind you, I know Brian Thomas Jr. had a bad year last year, and was getting drafted high in the, sometimes with the 12th pick, but he was going somewhere around 13, 14, 15, if you all recall last season, and injuries pretty much ruined any chance of him ever, being worth his draft ADP. But camps, he's looking good so far, and OTAs seems to feel great, and looks excited to rebound this year. Think he finished as what, like the receiver 4 as a rookie, and I know a lot of those passes were being thrown by Mac Jones, but at the same time he did show a great amount of talent after his rookie year. So that's why he was getting drafted so high in 2025. And see, like I said, there was no guarantee that a receiver would have came back. Like Mekhi Lemon's already off the board. So even the receivers that I thought might have been in the range when we were back on the board again. Interesting that this drafter goes with Caleb. So quarterbacks are coming off the board like hotcakes. We didn't have many stacking options with the quarterbacks that were there. We just didn't. Okay. We will take Marvin Harrison Jr. to give us our third receiver. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to select DK Metcalf. We were behind at receiver, having invested, 2 of our first 3 picks in running back and tight end. Which kind of forced our hand and made us have to go with 4 receivers in a row. Fortunately for us, we did get Marvin Harrison Jr. there, who I do like over Lemon. I know they got Lemon projected for more points this year, but if Marvin Harrison can get any kind of connection with Jacoby Brissett, there's a great chance that he has the season we've been waiting for since he was drafted and was touted as being a generational prospect. So, you know what you get in JMO. You know, he might have a game where he gets you 4 points. Next week might get you 6. Following week might get you 8. And then he gets you a 25-point game. So in redraft, I'm not drafting him. What I would do is trade for him once the owner gets frustrated because of his up and down production, and get him at less than half the price that the person who drafted him paid. But in best ball formats, when you don't gotta, think about what week is he going to spike, because when those weeks happen, he's automatically going to be put into your lineup. So there's a difference, huge difference when it comes to that. Rico Dowdle goes off the board. Ricky Pearsall. We're up in 5 picks. Xavier Worthy, Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be the tough part. Okay, he made it easier for us. So, our first pick is going to be Matthew Stafford. All right, now hear me out. We can't get too far behind at the quarterback position. So, we are going to go ahead and select Jared Goff. I could have tried to kick the can down the road. The St. Brown drafter was yet to draft a quarterback, and the options that he had would have been Goff, uh, Stroud a little later, and Jordan Love. So I could have got greedy and tried to select Stafford and Sam Laporta and hoped that the St. Brown drafter didn't select Jared Goff. He does go Harold Fannin, and Harold Fannin and Tucker Kraft both share a week 11 bye. Dart goes off the board unstacked. He doesn't have Scattaboo. He doesn't have Neighbors. However, he does have Drake May and A.J. Brown stacked together. So he might just be looking at the, rushing upside that Jackson Dart, has. Kyle Pitts goes off the board. So that last string of tight ends that are what I consider like relevant, ideal, Sam Laporta, Harold Fannin, Kyle Pitts, they all go off the board. Rashard White goes off the board. Kyler Murray goes off the board. Kyler goes off to the Addison drafter. The Jefferson drafter selected Dak Prescott. And obviously, with having Jefferson, he doesn't have Lamb, and he didn't take Pickens in the second round. He took Walker. So maybe he's targeting Jake Ferguson when he picks again at 129, I'd assume. Or maybe he looks for a later player like Flournoy. Baker goes off to the Ibuka drafter, who also selected Chris Godwin. And he has Kyler Murray stacked with Jordan Addison. Gainwell goes off the board. I hate when it does that. When you queue sometimes at the same time somebody's making a draft pick, it'll accidentally bump the player and unqueue somebody that you might have set or already starred. We'll see if the guy that I would like to fall to us falls to us. It's a high chance that he doesn't make it, though. As much as we would like Jordan Love, we don't have any stacking partners for him. We need another running back, so I like the selection of Aaron Jones. Um, damn. I think what we are going to do is go ahead and select Travis Kelsey as our second tight end. And the guy, Captain's Kirk's balls, could not let Jordan Love fall any further. And I was debating it myself, but we had just went two quarterbacks in a row that actually made sense for our team with our picks in Matthew Stafford in round 8 and Jared Goff in round 9. Um, Having Brock Bowers being drafted second overall, Kelsey, we might have not needed to select the tight end where we did. At the same time, after us getting Aaron Jones, outside of selecting a unstacked Love, Travis Kelsey was my highest rated player. The players that went off the board following him that probably could have been in consideration would have been Romeo Dubs. Um, there's no way I was pulling Shakir up that far. And likely neither. So, yeah, Kelsey, no matter what, sometimes you just got to select the best player available, regardless if you already have, a alpha at that position. You can't just force certain draft picks because, you don't need it, or you're bringing up a position because you're behind at that position. I rather take the points of someone that I know with their opportunities and their on field presence, they're going to have a chance to benefit my team. So our next pick is at 144. We are up in 9 picks. Currently, we have Matthew Stafford stacked with Devontae Adams. We have Jared Goff stacked with Jahmyr Gibbs and Jameson Williams. Um, we have Jeremiah Love and Aaron Jones. We have Marvin Harrison and DK Metcalf. And at tight end, we have Brock Bowers and Travis Kelsey. So I like our tight end situation. I like our running back situation. Having Gibbs, Love, and Aaron Jones. Gibbs is my unquestioned number one. But as Jeremiah Love gets acclimated to the game, I do like what Aaron Jones brings to this table. And though we do got statues at quarterback, Matthew Stafford had one of the best seasons of his career last year. And Goff was actually a pretty steady Eddie at the quarterback position. Uh, what do we do here? I think what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and select Jalen Naylor here. Um, and think we will go with Jonah Coleman at running back. We need another running back. So right now we have Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff at quarterback. We have Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, Aaron Jones, and Jonah Coleman at running back. At wide receiver, we have Devontae Adams, Jamison Williams, Marvin Harrison, DK Metcalf, and Jalen Naylor. And at tight end, we have Brock Bowers and Travis Kelce. So we have a 2-4-5-2 build so far. I think we are pretty evenly balanced so far. So at each pick, we should, in theory, depending on how this board, the rest of the board and these picks play out, should in theory be able to just go with the best player available approach and try to land this plane for this team, while also being just a little different than some of these other teams who've gotten the 1.1. Bowers is usually going by pick 20. He has an ADP of 20.5. So anytime that you can get him at the 2-3 turn, or hell, if he falls into the third round, is a little different than other teams that, have had to take him around pick 20. So like I said, we had to really play catch up at wide receiver. So we went Adams, JMO, MHJ, Metcalf, 2 quarterbacks, Stafford, Goff, Aaron Jones, and Kelce. And then we went Naylor and Coleman. So we do have at least 4 receivers through the first 10 picks. I prefer 5. I like to have 5 receivers within my first 10 selections of the draft. You start 3 and could flex 1. They have pretty much the highest spike week potential out of any position. So ideally, like I said, I'd like to have five receivers through the first 10 rounds. Okay, I know one of our picks right here is easily going to be Fernando Mendoza to give us our third quarterback. I think we follow that up with a wide receiver. And I think that wide receiver will be Jerry Jeudy. So we had Brock Bowers. I selected Jalen Naylor where I did to give us another Las Vegas pass catcher with the anticipation that I'd get Mendoza to come back to us as our third wide receiver. Our pick was 168. He had an ADP of 172.4. And hell, you got Brock Bowers. You took Naylor. So why not take Mendoza? And we can wait. We don't need Mendoza to be the week 1 starter. We have Stafford and Goff for the opening weeks of the season. So whatever Mendoza can give us down the stretch, we at least know that his primary pass catcher will be Brock Bowers. And they brought in Jalen Naylor, so you at least know that there will be some opportunities for him. The only other player on the Raiders that you could sit up here and expect and anticipate to have a solid amount of touches is going to be Ashton Genty. So Genty obviously was off the board. We had the 1.1. There's no way that we was going to have Gibbs and Genty, but that's why you never go into a draft uh, thinking that this is the build that I'm going to make, because you just don't know. I wasn't anticipating selecting Brock Bowers, but at the same time, he was pretty much one of the best available players where I picked when I was up on the clock. So you adjust and adapt. Okay, we're on the clock at pick 193. We are going to select Mike Washington, another Las Vegas Raider, to give us 5 running backs. Um, hell, if I'm going to look at the next best available, I think what we are going to do is we're going to select the rookie. We didn't necessarily need a third tight end, but at the same time, why not? We are good at the running back position. When you get the 1.1 or the 1.2 and you're able to select Jameer Gibbs or Bijan, you know that that's your clear cut RB1. We got Jeremiah Love, the number 3 overall draft pick in this draft. So we anticipate him getting a lot of touches with the draft capital invested in him. Then you got options like Aaron Jones behind Jeremiah Love. Let's say that, there's an adjustment period for Jeremiah Love, or he slows down and, they don't have a bye until week 14. So he could hit that rookie wall. And what we need from Aaron Jones is just to be the pass catching option to, get us some, red zone touchdowns. Then you have the upside in Jonah Coleman if there is an injury to J.K. Dobbins. And then, like I said, getting Mike Washington to give us another Las Vegas Raider. We don't have Genty, but in the event, let's say Genty gets hurt a couple games and, the Raiders, they're going to be forced to pass a little more. You'll have Bowers, you'll have Jalen Eller, and then you'd have whatever, Mike Washington could give you, in his opportunities if Genty for some reason got hurt. Now, do I want that to happen? No, because I got about 7% Genty that I need to get back up to at least 8%. So I don't want anything to happen to that to Genty. But let's say even Mike Washington has a kind of similar role like what they did with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. What if he gets more opportunities than what's being said on the surface? Yeah. So there's a chance that Mike Washington could help this team out in a couple ways. I like Devontae Adams. He led the league in touchdowns last season. I think his connection with Stafford is going to be even better. I think the Rams are going to have more scoring opportunities with Myles Garrett and shoring up their secondary. You know that Jameson Williams is a splash play potential any given Sunday. Marvin Harrison could finally show the potential that he has. DK is going to do what he does, for the most part with Pittsburgh. It's him or Pittman. So we're down to our last pick. And who shall we select? We are going to select rookie Chris Brazzle. Why not? Why not? Okay, so it's the end of this draft. Do a recap of the team. Quarterback, we have Stafford, and we have Stafford stacked with Adams. We have Jared Goff stacked with Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams. We have Fernando Mendoza stacked with Mike Washington, Jalen Naylor, and Brock Bowers. So, once again, quarterback Stafford, Goff, Mendoza, running back Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, Aaron Jones, Jonah Coleman, Mike Washington. Wide receiver, we have Devontae Adams, Jamison Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., DK Metcalf, Jalen Naylor, Jerry Jeudy, Chris Brazzle. At tight end, we have Brock Bowers, Travis Kelce, and Eli Stowers. So we walked out of this draft with a 3-5-7-3 build. Let me see. And we look to be the highest projected team in this draft. The team J-Man is the second highest projected team, but they got 4 quarterbacks. They got Kyler, Baker, Malik Willis, and Stroud. At running back, they have Barkley, Javonte Williams, Javonte Williams, Jadarian Price, Isaiah Pacheco, and Katron Allen. At wide receiver, they have CeeDee Lamb, Emeka Egbuka, Roma Dunze, Chris Godwin, Jordan Addison, Adonai Mitchell, Zachariah Branch, and Elijah Surratt. And they only took one tight end in Mark Andrews. So, but we still projected to have a better team with them, and they went with 4 quarterbacks to our 3. Outside of that, yeah, most of these teams are projected for, 2,700, 2,800 points. Our final projection was 2,985.3 points. So, all things being considered, the fact that we did not get our first receiver to the 4th round, we did okay. We went 4 straight receivers with Adams, Jamison, Marvin Harrison, and Metcalf. And then our other receivers were Jalen Naylor in the 12th, Jerry Jeudy in the 15th, and Chris Brazzle with our 18th and final pick. So that's all I have for y'all today. It's your boy, the Red Badger. We're going to get out of here. Hope y'all have a great weekend. And, I look forward to seeing y'all in these upcoming Fast Puppy drafts. As I said, I maxed BBM, so I won't be able to live stream any more of my Best Ball Mania teams, but we will, in fact, be drafting some of these Fast Puppies here on stream from now until whenever that closes, and until I assume they'll open a Puppy 3 before the season starts. So we're going to be puppying it out. So take care. One love. It's your boy, the Red Badger.